Hello, my friends. Welcome to day 4 of the at-home retreat for your pelvic floor. I am Dr. Bree, and I hope that you have been following along, starting with day 1, where we really focused on opening the pelvic floor, opening the hips, moving on to day 2, where we talked about breathing, connecting everything with the breath, really getting to know the pelvic floor and the diaphragm connection, relaxing and releasing, and then day 3, where we started to kind of get deeper. We did a little exercise that was optional. Some of you may have skipped it, but we really got deep with some mind-body work and then released everything with an exercise program, a workout that was a little bit intense. You may be feeling it in your hips, in your core muscles in some way, a little bit of soreness, a little bit of kind of activation from the muscles waking up. And if so, today's program is perfect for you. We are going to relax. So let me explain what you'll need. First off, you might, but you might not, need tennis balls for the very simple version, or if you have these yoga deep tissue massage balls, these are great too, but these are, often not as handy for people. Almost everybody has some old flat tennis balls lying around their house. They don't have to be flat, of course, they could be brand new, but even if they're flat and kind of not great for tennis anymore, they're still great for a deep tissue massage. So why I say these are optional is I am actually going to start us off with an option that you may want if you don't like the feeling of a really deep tissue massage, or if you have issues such as pelvic pain and tension, then I'm going to suggest that you maybe skip the deep tissue massage or just watch it while I do it, and instead do this more gentle self-care massage relaxation technique. So we're going to start with the gentle technique, and then we'll move on to the deep tissue massage using the tennis balls. I want to make sure everyone can get some relaxation in today. Retreats are all about relaxation, self-care, trying new things. Often they're about yoga and fitness and great, healthy, clean food and eating. So I encourage you today to just take the day to relax with the massage. Enjoy some nice ginger tea after this massage. Ginger is a wonderful anti-inflammatory, and water, hydration, is always important after you work your muscles. So please wind down after this with a nice cup of ginger tea, and let's go ahead and get started with our massage. Beginning with the light massage before we move on to the deep tissue massage, and again, you can choose one or the other, or I guess you could do both if you have a bunch of time. What I want you to do is make yourself, if you are an essential oils user, make yourself a little salve, a little balm that contains lavender and peppermint together. So for example, you can grab a tablespoon or so of coconut oil, the kind that you use for cooking, the hard kind, or you can use the liquid kind. And in that tablespoon of coconut oil, add 2 to 3 drops of lavender and about 2 drops of peppermint. Maybe a little more lavender than peppermint. Lavender is very soothing and relaxing. Peppermint is opening and also relaxing, but somewhat energizing too, so it's a really nice balance. This massage blend you can use very lightly, just a little bit on your finger, couple of fingers, and rub it onto your forearms and hands. And we'll start with our forearms and hands. So what you want to do is just give yourself a massage using your thumb. I like to begin with a hand massage, and you can place your hand on your lap and just gently massage out the palm of your hand, paying special attention to the base of your thumb. Right here, this meaty part of your thumb is so nice to just get deep in there. Now what I'm going to do is, because I do want to move on to the deep tissue massage as well, I'm just going to give you an overview of what areas I want you to focus on, and then I'm going to let you focus on them if this is where you're staying. If you're not going to participate in the deep tissue massage, which again, don't do it. If you have any fear or trepidation that maybe it's going to be too deep for you, just skip it and do this more gentle version. What can happen is if you go too deep, then your muscles can compensate by seizing up and tensing up, and that can actually make you go backward. So again, if you have excessive pelvic pain or tension, just stick with what I'm showing you right now. But I'm gonna go through it quickly. So I'm gonna let you watch what I do, and then you do it for longer on your own while I take everyone through the tennis ball massage. So after you've really focused on your hands, think about getting the raise of your hands, maybe gently pulling on the fingers, just providing a little bit of traction. You can move on to the forearm. So I like to make long, big strokes on my forearm with my thumb, stroking from my wrist area all the way up to my elbow area, and then use my thumb, bracing with my fingers on the back side of my arm, but use my thumb on the inside of my forearm to just make nice circles, massaging down. It feels so good to focus on these areas, which are usually overworked, especially if we're texting or typing or doing things with our hands all day. So of course you'd want to then move on to the other side. So we have our hand massage, getting the palm area, really focusing deep on that thumb mound, that muscular area right here. And then you can move on, again, working through the raise of the fingers, and then maybe gently pulling on each finger, a little bit of traction, but take longer than I'm showing right now. I'm just going through it quickly. Then we can stroke the thumb down from your wrist all the way up to your elbow crease. And you can also do nice circular massages. Feels really good. This is a great hand workout too. So after you've spent plenty of time on both arms and hands, shake out your hands. Make sure we don't give ourselves any wrist pain from doing this. Shake out your hands, circle out your wrists, maybe do some magic hands up and down, and then you can move on to your feet. So your feet, you want to really do kind of the same thing. Focus on your heel, use your thumb, little circular motions. I like to use both thumbs per foot. Circular motions focusing on your heel, and then the inner arch. The inner arch, you want to really get in there. And then you can do the same thing on the outer arch. Either do broad strokes up or little circles with both thumbs. Then you can do little traction with your toes. So it's very similar to your hands. And then if you'd like to massage your calves as well, that can feel really good. Kind of similar to how we massaged our forearms. So do both sides. Again, we do stroking and circles, whatever feels best to you. Circles at your heel, along the inner arch, along the outer arch, so the outer edge of the bottom of your foot, the inner part of the bottom of your foot, and the outer part, and then little traction at your toes. Take your time with it. Don't go as quickly as I'm going right now. I'm just showing you quickly so that I can then move on to the deep tissue massage. After your feet, if you'd like to do your calves, it can feel really, really good. Once again, shake out your wrists. A little bit of a magic hands up and down. Roll out your wrists, and then move on to your head and neck and temples and hair. It feels so good. Take your hands, take your fingers, and just rub out your neck. A little bit of a side bend can feel really good as you get deep in those upper neck tissues right here. Now, as I'm doing this, I've got to remind you that if you have access to a massage therapist or a partner, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your child who's old enough to give you a massage, it's so much even, more wonderful than anything to have someone else treat you to a nice massage. But this self-massage is really just, it's kind of a stopgap when you don't have access to someone who can help you out, or you don't have the time or maybe the finances to have someone help you out. This is a nice way to just treat yourself to a little relaxation on your own. So you want to get in there into that neck area, just let it feel good. So again, for this part, we're using more of our fingers, not so much our thumb. The other arms and hands and feet and calves, I tend to mostly use my thumbs for that, but for this neck area, I like to use my fingertips, these guys here. So once you get both sides, rubbing out both sides, That nice little side bend helps really get in there. So you're side bending to the opposite direction of where you're massaging. You can just get a little movement in, roll out your shoulders, and then move on to your temples. So your temples, just like the neck area, I like to use my fingertips. I like to just gently massage right here, right kind of above the edge of my eyebrows, go up. And you can just see where it feels good to you. Right in that area, it can feel so nice. And then, after you've had your fill of that, taking your time, not going this quickly, of course, taking your time, you can use your fingers and just rub in your hair and just let yourself just so lightly rub in your hair. Lift your hair up a little bit. If you have long hair, this is going to feel great. Lift your hair up a little bit and then just gently cascade your fingers down. You're not even rubbing your scalp hard, although you can, if it feels good to kind of scratch your scalp lightly with your fingertips, you can. But I prefer just to very lightly let my fingers trail down. So again, you're lifting up your hair, just sort of let it be up, lift it away from your head, and then gently trail your fingers down. Take your time with this. Play with it and see what feels good. There is no rhyme or reason, or I guess I should say there's no set in stone manual for this. It's just doing what feels nice in your body, taking care of yourself. So to recap, you're gonna take it slower, much slower than I showed you. It is we do our hands and our forearms. We do our feet and toes, our calves, feet and toes, calves, however it is. And then we move on to our upper neck and shoulder area, both sides, always both sides. And then we move on to our temples and our hair with the gentle lift of your hair and then the cascading down. If you don't have long hair, you can simply just run your fingers lightly along your scalp. One other reminder that if you have a partner that can help you with this, the better. But again, if you don't have a partner that can help you with this, this is such a nice thing to do for yourself. So let's move on now to the deep tissue massage using tennis balls or the massage balls. These are a little bit, the massage balls are actually really nice because they have, mine at least, have a little more give, just a tiny bit more give than a tennis ball. So these might be worth investing in if you are interested in pursuing this more and you don't care for how the tennis balls feel. The tennis balls are pretty firm, but I think it feels great. Just know that everyone's different and you might need to experiment with different types of massage tools. So what we're gonna do is actually start lying down on the ground. If you are just starting now and didn't do the gentle self-massage using your hands that I just showed, then go ahead and grab your essential oils, lavender and peppermint, and either just smell them right out of the bottle, give yourself a big whiff of those soothing scent, and also opening. So it's a combination, this beautiful balance of soothing and relaxing from the lavender, but also opening and a little bit stimulating and energizing from the peppermint. Really nice yin and yang. So grab those, either smell them out of the bottle or put them in your diffuser. Just a couple of drops of each in your diffuser, and that will really help you tune in as you release and relax with your tennis balls. We are going to begin with the tennis balls right at the base of the back of our skull. So there's lots of little neck muscles that hook in to the very, very base of your skull. This occipital area, the occiput, is in the middle of the base of the skull. That little bump you feel at the back of your head. You want the balls right underneath that ridge on both sides. And I will be pointing to where the balls should go on my skeleton. I'll place the balls in a photo that I have up on the screen right now. So you might have to play with this position and just kind of see what feels good. But this firm, steady pressure of the balls with your head resting on these tennis balls can feel really nice. Just know that everyone is a little bit different, and so don't do anything that is painful or too intense. And certainly if you feel that you're getting a headache or feel nauseous or dizzy or anything like that, then please stop right away. So I'm gonna go ahead and place the balls under the base of my skull where it feels good for me so you can see what's going on. So I just place them, and what I like to do to keep them in place is to find that spot. Again, it's not in the neck, the cervical arch. It's not in this arch right here that's in the natural space between where your neck is and the floor is. It's not there. It's a little higher. It's right under the base of your skull. And you can find that spot that feels kind of wonderful. Put it right in there. And I like to gently place my hands on either sides of the ball, like this. Place my hands on either side of the ball on the ground, and then my elbows out to the side. So it's a nice chest stretch as well. It's not like I'm using force to hold the balls in place. It's just kind of where my hands are. They help keep the balls in the right position. So take your time and breathe here. If it feels good to you, you might want to have your knees bent up rather than flat on the ground. When they're flat on the ground, this can make your back arch. So bend up your knees and maybe walk your feet apart and drop your knees together. That can feel really relaxing for many people. So just breathe deeply and feel in every single one of these deep tissue pressure holds. We're just holding the position. Feel your body melting into the ball, melting over the ball. That pressure just gently melting into the ball. You don't want to resist. If your body feels like it's resisting against this steady, firm pressure, then it means either that you need to try to keep in mind this concept of melting, or if you just can't melt, if you're like, you know what, this just hurts, then you need to stop and maybe go back to the light, gentle massage that you did with your hands that I showed in the very first part of this video. So just as needed, again, try to keep the balls in place using your hands, just surrounding them. It's not a pressure, it's not work, it's not an activation, it's just gently keeping them in place. And if it feels good to you, maybe you can gently move your head to the left just an inch or two and to the right just an inch or two. Gently massaging out those muscles that attach into the back of the skull. Breathe deeply. Breathe into your ribs, expanding your ribs in all directions as you inhale. Your lungs get bigger. Your pelvic floor releases and softens. Everything expands and softens and relaxes. And then as you exhale, you feel your ribs gently draw in, your pelvic floor gently lift, and your belly gently come in. So everything expands as you inhale and everything comes back in and up as you exhale. Just another breath or two. And now we'll move on to this area that is the upper trapezius area. Now you can try to do both at the same time, but I actually prefer to do one side at a time. So that's what I'm going to show. But if you'd like to try to place both balls at the same time and play with this, that's fine. So where we're going for is what is shown on the skeleton in the picture, that area. It's a muscular area, so you don't want to be on the bone of the spine or on the bone of the shoulder blade. You're kind of in between. So put the ball in that meaty muscular area of your upper trapezius. And again, I'm showing one side at a time. Find that spot. It tends to be pretty tight and tense on many people. Just play around until you find that perfect spot where you're like, yeah, there's a knot there. there's some tenderness there. And what I like to do is you can just relax. Just maybe bring your arm out to the side and relax over this. But what I like to do, either with a pillow under my head, a small pillow, not a big pillow, but a very small pillow, or with your head resting on the ground, I like to bring my arm up overhead, and I'll show you the pattern that I like to go through. So the arm goes up, so you're just gently reaching your arm toward the ceiling, and then you sink your arm straight down. And that puts a little pressure down on that ball. So again, you reach your arm up toward the ceiling, and then you sink it straight down. It's a very small movement, but you're reaching up and then sinking down, and it's just kind of flossing this pressure up and down on the ball. If you want even more, you can take it a step further by bringing your arm up and then back. And you can feel this gently mobilizing these tissues, working the muscles with that pressure over the ball. Just keep the move very slow. So again, we go up with our arm, reach, sink it down without bending your elbow. It's just a straight down and then straight back. This might be too much for some of you, and if it is, that's okay. Just do your own thing. Remember, there are no rules for what we're doing today. It's really, well, I guess there is one rule. Don't do anything that causes you pain, because if you feel pain, actual pain, then your body's going to compensate by seizing up and tensing up, and then you're absolutely not getting the results at all that you're going for. So avoid pain. You can push into a little bit of discomfort, but not pain. And then the other rule is you really want to avoid being directly on bones. So try to be, except for the occiput area, the first one that we did, where your balls are going to be just a little bit on the base of your skull, a little bit. Other than that, we want to not be directly on bones or joints. So be in the meaty muscular area. So I'm going to go through this one more time and then show you one more variation. So reach up, sink down, go back and up. You can also go out to the side. So go up, sink down without bending your elbow, go down to the side and come up. So up, sink down, down to the side and come up. Now keep going on your own if you'd like to. I'm going to actually move on to my other side. So if you're joining me, put the ball, same position, other side. So find that perfect spot where you're in that nice muscular upper trapezius area. It can be a little bit hard to find these sometimes, so just play with it. Don't get discouraged. And take your time with this. This is, this takes a while. I want you to be sure that you give yourself sufficient time to go through this with me without feeling stressed or like you're in a hurry. Pretend like you're at a massage therapy session where your appointment is going to be about an hour. Give yourself the time. Gift yourself the time. That's what retreats are all about. So my arm is going up. I'm going to do this variation now. And that ball is in the right place for me. It feels really good. It is maybe a little lower than it was on the other side, but that's where I need it on this side. It might be a little different between the two sides. Now it's not too low. It's not down on my, way down on my shoulder blade, but it just feels like it's just the right spot, and it feels a tiny bit lower than it did on this side. So find that good, somewhat tender, muscular spot that you can massage and relax, either by having your arm just down and relaxing, or by lifting your arm up and doing the reach, sink down without bending your elbow. It's just a reach up and a sink down. Reach up, sink down. Reach up, sink down, and now come back. Ooh, that is intense on this side. Arm up, reach up, sink down, and come back. Now, keep going, keep going. You may wonder why in the world, for an at-home retreat for your pelvic floor, why in the world are we caring about our neck and our shoulders and our, upper back? But the thing is, our entire body is completely connected by connective tissues. The fascia, the fascial system in the body connects everything from our feet all the way up through our pelvic floor, all the way up through the top of our head. So honestly, unwinding one area is going to help unwind other areas too. Plus, it's just relaxing to work on your whole body, and relaxing your body and tuning in with your breath has actually been shown to help with pain control, helps with inflammation, And anytime we are less inflamed and less painful, we are going to be overall healthier people, healthier individuals who can exercise, who can move, who can take care of our bodies and feel like we're living our best, healthiest, happiest, most energetic lives. So just play with this a little bit more. I am now moving on to the side stretch with my arm. So I just go up and then gently, slowly reach up, sink down, move straight out to the side. And this whole time I'm just gently massaging this back of my shoulder and upper neck, upper trapezius area. Okay, now let's move on to my favorite, which is the rhomboids, the muscles that are right between your shoulder blades on either side of your spine. Now, I'm going to show how you can place the balls in different positions. I'll show you how I do it, but the balls can be on either side of your spine, and you can roll them down very slowly, starting up a little bit higher and then going lower and lower. And I'm going to show you how this feels. Please note that the lower you go, you might feel more sensation. It might be too intense. For my husband, when he got really low, like down toward the lower area, kind of where the bottom of his shoulder blades are, it really caused him a lot of discomfort. It was too much pressure and he didn't like it. Now for me, I love it. So everyone's different, just see what works for you. The balls are going to go again on either side of your spine. So there's an area in the middle where the little spinous processes of your spine can be without touching the pressure of the balls. So you can start by just lifting up your head or just gently rolling to the side and placing one ball and then rolling to the other side and placing the other ball. Now, you might want a pillow under your head, but you might not. If you use a pillow, you don't want a super intense pillow like this. You can maybe make it a smaller, slightly flatter pillow. So I know you can't see this right now, but the balls are on either side of my spine, in between my shoulder blades, starting at the top area, like where the top of my shoulder blades would be, and then we're going to roll the ball down incrementally, stopping at each point and melting into it so that I can really feel where it feels best for me. The balls are staying very close side by side, and I'm starting in that upper thoracic spine, so the upper middle back. So that feels really good for me right there in the upper, very, very upper part of that thoracic spine. Again, the balls are on either side of my spine, in between my shoulder blades. But I'm going to just sort of move down because I know that for me, I like the way it feels just a tiny bit lower. So I'm just rolling myself, pushing my feet, and just rolling myself so that the balls are in an even better position for me. When I find that great position, I'm just going to relax and just melt into this. Play with your legs, position. Maybe widen out your feet and drop your knees together, see how that feels. Maybe your arms come apart. And you can either just relax, again, finding that perfect spot, maybe rolling a little bit lower. Again, I love the way it feels to be a little bit lower. I am not on my low back right now. You can see I'm on my upper back still, my upper middle back, not on my low back. But just see where that perfect, tender, but not painful spot is. Now, when you find that perfect spot, either just relax over it, maybe wiggle around a tiny bit, breathe deeply, breathe into your back body, your back ribs. Or you can join me, having your arms spread wide apart, and then you can hug your left arm over your right and just hug. Maybe rock side to side a tiny bit, and then open out your arms, and then your right arm over your left and just hug. Take your time with this. You can go as slow as you want to. Find that perfect spot. Breathe deeply. And just know that this is helping to release those upper back muscles that can get so tense and tight, especially if you're a nursing mom, a breastfeeding mom, or if you work at a computer all day, or if you have any stress or tension in your life. You probably carry tension in your shoulders and your upper mid-back area, as well as your pelvis. Roll the balls. You can even, if you like to, just roll up and down. Now that you've kind of released each spot, it might feel good to do a gentle roll, but only if this is not too much for you. Remember to feel like you're melting into the balls underneath you. So they're pressing up against you and your body is melting down into them. One more deep breath. And now we're going to find our lats. You can do these one side at a time or both sides at the same time. But where you're going to feel this and where you're going to kind of think about is that area underneath where your shoulder blade is, underneath the bottom of your shoulder blade. You're going to think about a big, broad muscle that actually is right in that area. So think about that bottom area of your shoulder blade, the bottom point of your shoulder blade, and try to put the ball under, lower, a little bit lower than where that bottom point is. So again, you can choose to do one side at a time. I'm actually going to do both sides at the same time because I feel like I'm able to place the balls really nicely and do both sides at the same time. I like to, in this position, personally, I feel this nicely. It feels really good. There is a little pressure on my back lower ribs, the lowest ribs. A little bit of pressure, but for me, this big broad sheet of muscle, my lats, my latissimus dorsi, and then just the little intercostal ribs, it really needs a lot of love. And so I feel that by putting the ball a little bit lower, a little bit under the lower point of my shoulder blade, so again, not on my shoulder blade directly, but underneath my shoulder blade, putting the ball right there, and then just gently scooping my bum, lifting my bum off the ground just a little bit, feels really, really good. So I'm just gently tucking my tailbone and lifting my bum off the ground and then setting it down. Oh, it feels so nice. Now again, if you want to do one side at a time, you can. One thing I recommend if you're doing one side at a time is to gently tip your whole body onto that ball. So for me, on this side, the ball is right here. I think you can see it. Just gently roll onto that one side and just sort of ease your way around. You can move your rib cage just a little bit to the right and the left and just feel that gentle pressure. This is going to make it more gentle, more easy to just do one side at a time. If you like the intensity and if you're able to find the right placement, go ahead and do both sides like I do. So play with this for a little bit longer. If you're doing the one side at a time, switch sides about now. Releasing the whole back side of the body. Remember, think about moving slowly and gently, sinking down into the tennis balls. No resistance. Just think of letting your tissues soften and melt. Breathe deeply, sometimes just breathing into the balls beneath you, into the tennis balls beneath you. Sometimes just breathing deeply into that firm pressure can be a really nice release. Now, let's move both of these down into the area that would be our deep, deep low back muscles, or even the quadratus lumborum. So these are deep back muscles that you can really play with different areas and just see what feels best for you. Again, you don't want to be on bone. We want to be on the more muscular, meaty areas of your low back. So the multifidus, the quadratus lumborum, these deep back muscle areas. I'm going to show you with where my ball is right now. So my pelvis, my bony pelvis, I can feel. I want to be a little bit above that. And then I'm going to put the balls on both sides. So play with positioning here and just see what feels good. We're not on our sacrum. We're not on our tailbone area. We're not on our bony pelvis right now. We're just on the muscles of the low back. Now, if this is too intense, or if you have any history of low back injury and this is feeling not right for you, then please don't do it. Remember, that was our main rule, is don't do anything that causes pain. But you might feel good straightening out one leg, just one at a time, and just feeling that side relax into the ball, feeling a stretch in your front, and a little bit of pressure, extra pressure on that particular side. Deep breaths. If you straightened out one leg, then try straightening out the other leg now. Sinking into the ball. So now I have a little more pressure on the tennis ball that is right under my left deep lower back muscles. Again, we're not on bone right now, we're on muscles. Breathing deeply, sinking into that area. And play with it. If this doesn't feel good to have one leg straight and the other leg bent, bend both legs. You can also, in this position, one more thing I'll show you, is to do that gentle tucking under, the gentle scooping and lifting of your tailbone. So scooping and tucking your tailbone under and lifting your bum off the floor just a little tiny bit. All right, let's move on to the sacroiliac joint area. Now, this one is, you are on a bony landmark, and so stop if this feels uncomfortable to you. If you feel like this isn't working for you, then you don't need to do this. But I actually think this is one exception to the rule of don't be on a bone or a joint. I personally feel that it feels really nice to be on the sacroiliac joint, which I will show in the inset picture. So in this position, you want to put the balls, it's really, they're quite close together. I once was described this as if you picture you're wearing a thong underwear, picture you're wearing a thong, the balls will go on either side of that back part of your thong, okay? That's a fun way to think of it. So picture your thong underwear and put your balls on either side of the thong underwear. And you're just going to play with this position. Maybe roll gently side to side. Maybe the scoop action can come into play again, where you scoop and roll forward and then arch your back very gently. Tuck your tailbone under, rolling yourself forward, and then arch your back gently and roll back. So play with moving, and play also with just being, just letting yourself melt into the tennis balls beneath you. If your tennis balls start drifting outward and apart from each other, then just push them back in so that they're close together. If you're very brave and want to try it, you can bring one leg up and then the other. This might be too much pressure, but for some people it feels really, really good. Remember, everyone is different. You can also play with little tiny knee circles. I call this stirring the pot, where I use my arms to gently guide my knees apart and together. Keep breathing. Go really slow and gentle. I'm going to put my feet back down. And I'm just going to do little circles now. So I'm drawing tiny little circles on the ground beneath me with my sacrum area. So the sacroiliac joints are very stimulated right now. I'm drawing little circles. Now I'm going to go the other way with my circles. I don't know if you can see the tennis balls on the ground beneath me, but we're just drawing little tiny circles. Again, if this is too intense, if there's any pain or discomfort, then just take a break. Maybe move into child's pose or just remove the balls altogether and take a break, just lying on your back and breathing deeply. Okay, so I feel even between the two sides. Now I'm going to move both balls out just a little bit into the meaty area of my buttocks. So really get in there. You can play with higher on your buttocks or lower more toward the center, just know that there are some big nerves that go through this area, the sciatic nerve, for example. And if there's tenderness or a feeling of nerviness, like a shooting pain, for instance, that's a problem. We don't want that. So you want to avoid anything that's giving you a nervy feeling or sensation of radiating pain or tingling or numbness. But you do want to feel the muscular area, some nice pressure on that. Now, again, choose to either just melt into the balls. You can go into a butterfly position. That might be too intense. You can also bring your feet out to the side and drop your knees together and just stay here. Or you can play with coming up and moving your knees apart and together or in circles. Or you can do the circles on the ground, which is my personal favorite. So my feet are on the ground and I'm drawing circles this way on the ground beneath me with my buttocks. So the balls right now are in the meat, the fleshy area of my buttocks, and not on the sacrum. Go the other way. And remember just to go slow and gentle. Giving yourself a deep tissue massage. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Find that perfect spot that works for you and move in a way that works for you. So maybe you just want to wiggle your hips side to side. If the balls start drifting too far apart from one another, just put them back in the center of your buttocks. One more deep breath. Now we're going to do just one side at a time. We're going to move into this outer upper hip area. So the gluteus medius and minimus, these side hip muscles here, and then also the tensor fascia lata, which is one of the muscles that if you have IT band issues, if you're a runner, or if you have issues along the sides of your leg, this muscle is at the top of that area. So we're going to be working these side hip muscles right here. So I like to take the ball and move on to my side. Oh, it's really intense. So be very careful. You might simply want to move the leg down, bent knee, and just stay. You can try straightening it. Now, if you roll your full body weight onto the ball, it's likely going to be too much. So just ease yourself. Maybe lift your hips a tiny bit and just sort of ease the pressure to the side to side, rolling over the ball. Or you can play with little circles, but just go really slow and see how this releases the tension as long as you're doing it gently enough. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but if you go too hard, too fast, and if you don't melt into the pose or into the massage, then your muscles are going to react by seizing up. If that happens, it's not the end of the world. Just back off and retry, or take a break. Move into child's pose, or just remove the balls altogether and lie in a nice comfortable shavasana, lying on your back position. Just a little bit more on this side. Play with what feels good. Play with angle. Play with how high that ball is. I actually like the feeling of bringing it up pretty high. Remember that our pelvis actually is a big area, our bony pelvis, and these muscles are in that whole bony pelvis area, on the outer area of your hip and pelvis. So really play with how high up you want to roll that ball. It might feel great to go nice and high up to the edge, up to the top edge of your bony pelvis, the outside part of your iliums, that wing area. When you say you're putting your hands on your hips, that's your ilium of your pelvis. And we're getting muscles that are all in that outer part of that area. So let's move on to the other side. So other ball, same thing. You're putting it on the outer edge, outer side of your hips, and then rolling onto that side. Remember to go slow and easy, maybe keeping this leg of the side that's being worked, maybe keeping the leg bent, or you can play with straightening it out and bending the other leg. If you bend the other leg, that can help you lift your hips up off the ground just a little bit by pressing into this foot. And then you can roll on the ball slowly and steadily, finding that place where you want to stay. Breathe deeply. And remember that I mentioned earlier in the video that you'll want to rehydrate with water after this massage. It's a very deep tissue massage, and you're mobilizing your lymph, your blood flow, you're mobilizing the fluids in your body, and you may even be mobilizing toxins out of your body. So you want to flush everything out with plenty of water, hydration for these tissues that you're moving and pressurizing and releasing. So you want to hydrate with plenty of water. I recommend ginger tea. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. You can either steep a ginger tea bag if you have ginger tea at home, or you can steep ginger root, fresh ginger root. Or if you are an essential oils user like I am, the brand I use, doTERRA, the one I partner with, and can help you have access to if you're interested in it. Actually, the ginger is able to be consumed. You're able to maybe put a drop of ginger in a teaspoonful of honey and stir it into a nice small cup of warm water. That's such a soothing way to have instant ginger tea. So again, sinking into the ball beneath you, breathing deeply. Remember to find different spots, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little more lateral, a little more on your side, but never moving into an area that is absolutely painful. We don't want to be in frank pain. All right, so before we sit up, we're going to move on to our iliacus area. So the iliopsoas muscles, the hip flexor muscles, the iliopsoas, it consists of the iliacus and the psoas. The psoas is very deep and hard to get to, but we can try, and we can try definitely to get toward the iliacus muscle. Now I'm showing where this broad fan of muscles is in the inset picture, but it's right on the inner area of that bony pelvis. So we have the bony pelvis where you put your hands on your hips, that area there. That's the ilium on both sides. Now the iliacus is a broad fan of muscle that's on the inside of that ilium. So you can feel it by actually using your fingers, hooking them over the edge of your bony pelvis, and you can feel deep in there is some muscular action. Part of that muscular action is the iliacus. So play with it. Not everyone's going to be able to feel this next move or know what I'm talking about, but give it a try. You're going to take your tennis ball, and just with one tennis ball at a time, bring both hands, one hand over the other, and just gently massage in that area. You might find a tender spot. If it's tender, try playing with straightening out the leg, because probably what's happening is we have some flexion at the hip, which is making the hip flexors be bunched up. Essentially, they're gently contracted. And so if you want to release and stretch them, you can straighten out your leg, and you can just move the ball in gentle little circles, trying to reach toward that inside part of your ilium. So you're really getting this interesting sensation here. Some people like it, some people hate it. Play with this. We won't do it for too long, but it's really interesting to get to know your body and to know your anatomy in this deep way by actually treating these muscles really kindly and nicely, gently. Again, these could be very sensitive down here. There's a lot of nerves, there's arteries and veins that are in this area. So you don't want to go too low down here in your hip crease, because that can be very tender, and you can be right over some deep arteries and veins that we don't really want to compress. Let's move on to the other side. So straightening out, again, one hand over the other, just gentle little circles. Go as deep or as gentle as you need to for your body. And just play with the position here. Breathe deeply. And before we sit up, last thing we're going to do lying on our back is 3 gentle abdominal massages. Almost everybody can benefit from a gentle abdominal massage. I like to use one hand over the other, just like we did before. And you're going to massage up the right side of your colon, and then you're going to move across toward the left, your transverse colon toward the left, and then down the left side of your colon. So it follows the natural path of digestion. So what you want to do is, with both hands, gentle, tiny little circular motions, not hard. You're going to move up the right side, across toward the left upper quadrant, and then down from the left upper quadrant down to the left lower quadrant. You might find that there's a spot that needs a little extra pressure. It wants a little extra pressure, especially if you're constipated. That move from the left upper quadrant to the left lower quadrant might need a little extra special attention. So maybe if it feels good, put a little tiny bit of extra pressure or spend a little tiny bit of extra time on that part of your massage. 3 times total. So now I'm going to go again. Up, across to the left, and then down the left side. Spending a little extra time anywhere that feels like it needs a little extra love. Last time for me, I'm going to go up the right side of my abdomen, across the top part toward the left side, spending a little extra time anywhere that needs it, and then down the left side. Now, we are going to sit up. So use your hand, roll to your side, use your hand to press up on an exhale, and place the balls right where your hamstrings meet your ischial tuberosity. So the hamstring muscles connect and hook into your butt bones, your sitting bones. So place the balls, I like to place them both at the same time, right in that area. And then place your hands behind you, either in fists or flat hands on the floor, and just lift yourself up just a little bit and roll the part where the muscles, or the tendons I should say, of the hamstring muscles insert into the ischial tuberosity. Then move and play with this till you reach the point where you're right kind of moving and rolling back and forth from where the muscles insert into the ischial tuberosity, the sitting bone, by the tendons, and then rolling down a little bit more in toward the muscle bellies. So it can be a little bit tender to go right on the muscle bellies, but just play with it and see what feels good. I actually really like the way it feels to be close up toward where the tendons insert into the ischial tuberosities, into the sitting bones. So just play with what feels good to you. You might want to do just one side at a time. So you can lean onto one side and just go back and forth. Then you're getting the side muscles as well, a little bit of the, maybe even the IT band, just a little bit, which is a band of connective tissue. Just play with it and see what feels good. I'm going to do the other side now. Just gently stimulating this area. Try not to collapse your back into this. We want to stay lifted, shoulders down away from your ears, and keep breathing. So again, we're kind of working the side leg area and that insertion of the hamstrings into the sitting bone. See what feels good to you. Next, we're going to move into one side at a time, just a little bit with the calf. Just place the ball under your calf and roll side to side. I want you to take a moment to tune in. If you're still with me, nice job. You have really committed to this self-care for your whole body, and I want to honor you for that. I know it can feel like a waste of time, but just think about how wonderful it is that you're giving your body love, from top to bottom, from head to toe. Now move onto your foot and just gently massage out the inner arch and then the outer arch. Now if you want more pressure, this is very light pressure right here, and actually I think it feels really nice just to center in on the heel, the arches, the outer side of the foot, the inner arch of the foot. I think it feels wonderful, but if you want more, you can absolutely sit in a chair and do this in a chair. You can press a little harder into the ball, or you can also stand up and do this in a standing position as well. Go ahead and move on to the other side as you're ready, moving from the calf to the foot. So just going onto the belly of the calf, the biggest part of your calf muscle, and just rocking the ball side to side. If this feels like you don't like this position and you want to try a little lower on your calf, that's fine as well. And just like we did on the other side, take a deep breath and give yourself a pat on the back in your mind's eye for giving yourself this time of TLC, tender love and care. Your whole body is going to be thanking you for it afterwards. Now move onto your foot. You can be right on the heel. Breathe deeply. Focus on your pranayama, your breath work, your yogic breathing exercises. Breathing slowly and deeply, thinking of inhaling and pausing at the top of the inhale, and then exhaling and pausing at the bottom of the exhale. Inhaling and pausing briefly, exhaling and pausing briefly. Remember that you can also do this part in standing or sitting, or you can just put a little extra pressure and work down into the ball by pressing a little harder with your foot. But don't forget the power of just being light and easy and gentle too. Sometimes we tend to think that the more hard something is, or the more effort we put into it, the better it's going to be. When sometimes what our body really needs is just a little bit of light work, something really gentle. Maybe just being in one place and relaxing. Last deep breath. And we are almost done. Let's move on to a psoas release, belly massage, and pec massage. So for our psoas release, we're going to put the balls, if we think about our anterior superior iliac spine, so the front hip spikes, the little spikes that are on the front of our pelvis, anterior superior iliac spine, ASIS. You want to put the ball just to the inside of each side. So just to the inside of each ASIS. So come onto your belly, and you can place the balls when you're on your belly. Now, if you want to have a small blanket or pillow for your head, you can. You might need to roll yourself so that these balls are in the right place. For me, I placed them too low at first, and it was right in an area that felt very tendinous and not so good. So you want them, again, right level, but to the inside of your ASIS, the front hip spikes. So put the balls in that right place. There shouldn't be any pressure right on your bladder. And just release into this. This is a very deep stretch, and some people might hate it. So if you hate it, if it's not feeling good for you, if it's feeling nervy or uncomfortable, then don't do this stretch. But if you're comfortable with it, just hold it, firm, steady pressure. Think about melting into these tennis balls. Breathing really deeply. This is an opportunity to really slow down your breathing and really work on that pranayama. Remember, breathing exercises actually have been shown to be wonderful at reducing inflammation, calming the mind, and reducing pain. So think about inhaling and pausing, and then exhaling slowly and pausing at the bottom of your exhale as well. Soften and melt into the balls, the tennis balls that are beneath you. If you ever feel uncomfortable, then shift your body weight or move the balls, or come out of it all together. You do not have to be a martyr. You do not have to be strong. You don't have to do anything that hurts. If your head is turned to one side, turn it the other way. Now bring your head back to the middle, and we're going to move the balls up, focusing on digestion. Again, the balls are now going to go on either side of your belly button, so fairly close together on either side of your belly button. And you can play with this position. They can start on either side of your belly button, and then you can also move them maybe a little higher or a little bit lower. You want them on either side. So go ahead and come into your belly first and then place them, or you can roll onto one and then place the other. Sink into this. Some people love the way this feels, some people don't. It might stir up gas, it might stir up feelings of bubbling and gurgling in your digestive area. Just see what feels good to you. If you want to start up here in a Sphinx pose, if that feels good to you on your back, then you can start a little bit higher and then work your way toward that low lying down position. So again, don't be afraid to adjust the tennis balls. You don't want them too far apart. You want them maybe about an inch between the two tennis balls. They don't need to be touching each other, but you don't want them out on the sides of your waist. So you want them fairly close together. Breathe and melt into the tennis balls. We won't be here for too long. Let's go ahead and take one more deep breath. Breathing into the tennis balls. And now move the balls just a little bit higher or a little bit lower. Just move the position slightly, maybe a little bit farther apart from each other. Just play with the position. And then turn your head the other way and breathe and relax into it again. Come on up. And the last thing we're going to release is our pectoralis, our chest muscle, and the front of your shoulder area, but really our pecs. These muscles tend to be very short and tight, especially if we're a nursing mom, breastfeeding mom, or if we work in an office job where our hands are in front of us, our fingers and hands are typing and working on a computer all day. These muscles tend to be very short and tight. So we want to open up and broaden across the chest. Now you can choose again to do this both at the same time, or you can do one side at a time. You're really going to have to play with this and see how it works best for you. So I'll show you what works for me, but everyone's different. Just know that we're shooting for this more muscular area, not right on the shoulder bone and not right on the collarbone. So no shoulder bone, no collarbone. We want to be right in between in this sort of slightly meaty, muscular, tendinous area right here. So you can again do one side at a time or both sides at the same time. I'll show you my one side at a time trick while you're experimenting and playing with how it works best for you. So one side at a time, I like to place the ball in that area, and I'm going to be turning away from you, but place the ball and then stretch my arm out to the side, on the side that I've placed the ball, and then I actually like to bend up this arm and roll onto the ball. So I'm turning and rolling onto that tennis ball. And you can just gently move back and forth. So gently roll onto the ball up and down, and then maybe hang out either up, and you can put a pillow or a block under your head and relax, or you can lie down and just really lie over the tennis ball. So see what feels good for you there. Again, I like to pull up, and actually I don't have a block for my head, but put my head on my hand and just hang out here. One more deep breath. And then roll onto your belly and do the same thing on the other side. Because I did that move on that side, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But if you weren't doing that move with me, then you can either rest in child's pose right now, or you can also just self-massage with the ball. You can just roll it around on that muscular area. So I'm going to move on to my other side. And you can join me, or you can do your own thing right now. Just try to be even between your two sides. So for me, I'm going to place the ball, and I'm going to stretch my arm out to the side. My space is a little limited here. And then I'm going to actually just roll myself over so that there's a nice amount of pressure in that muscular tendinous area. And just breathe deeply. Keep breathing, keep finishing up your massage so that you're really even between the two sides. One more breath in and out. And come onto your belly. Press yourself up into a hands and knees position on an exhale, and then sit back in child's pose. Nice, deep child's pose stretch. Your knees can be together or they can be wider apart. If you would like to play with an acupressure point on the top of your forehead, the front of your forehead, you can place the tennis ball right under your forehead, but only if this doesn't cause you pain or any discomfort. Just place the tennis ball right under you. Maybe your hands either go outstretched in front of you. Gentle pressure. Breathing deeply. Remember, the tennis ball is totally optional. If it causes you any pain, then remove it. Breathe deeply. One more breath in and out. And carefully remove the tennis ball. Gently look your head from side to side. Gently round yourself up to a seated position and come to a comfortable seat. I hope you feel really relaxed and stimulated at the same time. It's, again, kind of like the essential oils I chose, lavender and peppermint together. It's this nice combination of relaxing, but also stimulating and invigorating for these muscles. It's a new sensation. Some people may not enjoy this deep tissue work, but if you do, then thanks for sticking with me, and do this on your own anytime you would like to come back to it. It's a great technique to take with you and to keep using on your own time, even after this at-home retreat for your pelvic floor is over. Tomorrow is day 5 of our at-home retreat for your pelvic floor, and we will be bringing it full circle with a really nice yoga fitness flow that's going to incorporate some of the things that we've learned, the breathing, some of the stretches, and it's just going to feel really, really good. At least I hope it will for you. I will see you tomorrow, and until next time, remember, eat clean, move every day, and you will shine brighter.